We're moving on to chapter 8 today. Chapter 8 is based on our being commanded to mature. I've talked about this a little in the previous chapters, but this is something I would like to just take a little more time to explain, that we're commanded to grow. We are commanded to grow. I read that to you earlier in one of the chapters, Matthew 5:48. But let me read it to you again. Let me read it to you again so that you can really key in on it. And I put my glasses on to do that. And this is the Amplified 5:48. We are encouraged to mature. And it says, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect." In this context, the word for perfect is the Greek word teleos, which means in various applications of labor, growth, mental, moral, and character, full age and completeness. So that is one of the areas where we're commanded to grow. We're commanded to grow, and we must grow. Why does God want us to grow? He wants us to grow because we can't do some of these things as babies. We can't do what Jesus asked us to do. He is king. Remember, he's King of kings and Lord of lords. And if he's king, he has a kingdom. And we understand that he does have a kingdom. And he gives us directions about that kingdom in the book of Matthew, because it's all about him being as king. I wrote another book called The Christian Torah, and I got that name from the Life Study Bible that called that chapter, some things that in that chapter, some things about his teaching, the Christian Torah. And I enjoyed writing that book because I also wanted to know about the kingdom of heaven. But one of the things that happens is Jesus gives us a lot of commands, many commands that we are to follow in Matthew chapter 5. And of course, they're repeated in the other books of the New Testament. But this is Jesus being presented as king by Matthew and giving us some directions. And how do we do that? Well, one of the things he tells us is to love our enemies. Well, that's difficult. How do you do that? You can't do that without Holy Spirit. One of the things he tells us is to love people. How do you love people? And if you read 1 Corinthians 13, I'll bet you are not able to say that you can do every one of those in 1 Corinthians 13, and we're supposed to be, and God expects us to. How can you follow the Beatitudes? Those are attitudes to be. Attitudes to be, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Well, how do you get a pure heart? How do you keep a pure heart? What does it mean when you see God? Blessed are they that thirst, for they shall be filled. What does that mean? Thirsting for what? How can I be filled? Yeah, you have to grow up in God. You have to understand it, and you have to know that you're commanded to grow up so that you can do the things that's expected of you. It is wonderful to be able to do the things that are expected of you, and we are commanded to do that. I have had so many people complain about loving people and forgiving their enemies because they think that they should execute restitution, but God is the judge, and he is the father of all. And if you know any fathers or any mothers, they're not going to let other siblings spank and discipline their children if that's what they do. However they discipline their children, they're not going to let the siblings take that position, and God doesn't either. He does it himself. He disciplines us himself. So we have to love people. There are no conditions of not loving them. We cannot operate in unforgiveness because of what's been done to us. We cannot refuse to love people because they didn't love us. It takes a maturity, and we are commanded to do so. So jump into this chapter and find out why and how you are commanded to do so that you can make that a part of your everyday life. So you can make that a part of who you are. Enjoy chapter 8.